On the team side, folks, we are going out to several different platforms. And we are live, it looks like. So we are streaming out to several different platforms. And we'll share our screen here too, so that you can see what's going on in the world of TikTok Live Studio, Teams, several other types of environments. So you can see in the Live Studio, I have different frames and things that I can set up. And based on, actually Teams is using my other camera. So Teams is using my camera up here, and TikTok is using my camera down here. So I'm not sure if you can use exactly the same camera, but you get the idea. I have a portrait layout on the left in the TikTok Live Studio, and I have a landscape view on the right. I'm going to open my LinkedIn here and confirm that we are streaming out to LinkedIn. And then I'm going to go ahead and tag one of my friends here. If I can tag, where are my comments? Why aren't they showing up? There we go. It's in the bottom. Akia Carter. See if it's going to pick up that. Trying to tag her in this post. So what should happen when you're trying to tag somebody is they should show up when you type their name. You've seen this. Let's move it down to see if I'm actually getting the autocomplete. So the autocomplete might actually be showing up at the bottom of the screen. There we go. Yeah, that's what's happening. So the window's either just too small at the bottom. Feedback for the LinkedIn team. This isn't the best experience, not realizing that you can just hit the down arrow to get to the autocomplete of a tag, but something for the LinkedIn team to look into. So today, I know Nakia is using Microsoft Teams to save recordings and put out to her TikTok channel. And I need to find and make sure I'm connected to her business partner. I'm not sure if I am. I'm sure we'll have a conversation about that at some point. And then look at how we could maybe, convert all of this into one type of stream. If we either had a shared TikTok or if we all build our TikToks up to 1,000 followers or more, it looks like that is the magic number to get all this working. So on TikTok, all you're seeing right now is my lovely face, and we have the portrait mode on the left and the landscape mode on the right. And then in the TikTok Live Studio, you'll see that I can have text, and the text is displaying the Microsoft Student Ambassadors link here, and I can resize that text for the portrait mode. And then I don't have the text in the landscape mode. So if you turn your phone sideways and it reorients in TikTok, or if you hit the little box in the lower right that expands, similar to like YouTube or something else, I want to see it full screen, you'll see the landscape mode without the studentambassadors.com link. Now, the other thing that I can add in here on either Facebook or LinkedIn, other platforms that I'm on, is I can come down to Hyper-V. If I could spell Hyper-V, it's probably in the server or the Windows administration group, but it's installed on my computer. Hey, welcome. Thanks for stopping by. We've got plenty of people that have stopped by here this morning. We'll take a look at the virtualization on my system. And then I have two systems running in the background. I have a Windows 10 computer running the Spanish version of Windows. So I'm going to double click on that to see if it'll open. It looks like it's thinking about it. And then besides that window, I'm also going to see if I can open my server window. And what you'll notice is that these windows actually get shared. It looks like I actually clicked on it twice. So I think that's why I was getting two VM Connect windows there instead of one. And then I just need to make sure that I say connect. And then what we should do is connect to our Windows 10 computer that you'll be able to see either, again, landscape or portrait on the TikTok side. Now on the LinkedIn, YouTube, and other platforms, you can see my entire screen. And the reason for this, so I'll go ahead and toss in my YouTube so that you're welcome to subscribe there if you'd like to. I have two YouTubes. So I'll put both those URLs in here. Looking for subscribers there as well. It's that self-fulfilling prophecy thing, right? I don't spend any time on YouTube doing lives or posting additional content, so I don't get additional subscribers, and thus I don't spend time posting, and I wonder why I don't have the engagement or the audience that I have on, say, LinkedIn or that I'm building on TikTok. So we're gonna reorient our little Clippy dude here. I'm gonna put a little water bottle between me and the cord. I'm using a wired headset from Microsoft. This is a Teams headset. So it's designed and meets specs to work with Microsoft Teams. It works with other applications like TikTok, obviously. And if you join me over on YouTube, you should be able to see this. If you join me over on LinkedIn, you should be able to see this as well, full screen. And then again, you're seeing on those other platforms, you're seeing both video. You're seeing the video from my built-in webcam and my Logitech Brio webcam. So Roxy, welcome. Thanks for stopping by. Husil or Cecil, it looks like is in the house here. Thanks for stopping by. I am showing you some demos from my Windows 10 computer. Let's see if my Windows 10 computer can connect successfully. It says it's running, but it looks like it's having some issues connecting to the virtual machine. I think I opened it twice. And so that's possibly why it was trying to connect. So I'm going to close and delete the VMs there, and then I'm going to open another VM to the Windows 10, make sure it's responding. So you should be able to see this on the YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn side. And then for those platforms, I can also toss in a link to my TikTok. So you can find me on TikTok, which is the platform that I'm trying to grow right now. And we have two people live on LinkedIn. If I go over to a browser, I could take a look at some of the other platforms here. So if I go to YouTube and see if I'm logged in this browser, which I believe I am. And then from Restream, it looks like because I'm logged into these different platforms, I may be able to, from Restream, actually post to those different platforms. So I can also get the channel. And then from the channel, I've got the messages that are coming in from the various platforms. And then at least from the two YouTubes it looks like I can send out messages. So if I want to send my TikTok there, so people can find me on YouTube and my 2 channels, I have the ability to do that here within Restream. So one of the challenges that I've had, it looks like I can't connect. I wonder if this is something with the way that I have the, I switched over the networking yesterday. And I wonder if it's something with the networking that's causing it, some confusion about how to open this virtual machine. So let's see if we switch it back to the default switch. It just magically starts working. Then if that's the issue, we'll troubleshoot that later. Let's see if we can get to it now. Connect. And if it opens magically, then that was our issue. So the other issue that I have is I obviously have a Teams meeting that I could invite other people to. One of my counterparts, an MVP from the United States that also does some work in various countries in Africa and has communities that she works with and is a community builder. She's been going live from Teams and then posting, I believe, those videos into TikTok. So one thing that I wanted to make sure Nakia knew about was the new TikTok Live Studio that you can get access to by going to a link that I'll post in this video, and I'll probably make a shortened video to share this link with everybody that isn't live here. So if you weren't aware about the TikTok Live Studio link, it is now in the comments of this live. I'm going to make a copy of that, and I'm going to put that up on the screen too. So I can add a source within the TikTok Live Studio. And then the source that I add, once I get that window correctly popping up, should pop up within about 5 to 10 seconds in my experience. So if it takes the click here, it usually takes about 5 to 10 seconds for the dialog box to display. And I've got a lot more going on than I had in my computer in the past. So that could actually be what's causing it. There's the window I've been waiting for. And I obviously have some resources being used by running 2 virtual machines on my system, as well as my real Windows 10 system. So I'm actually running in the background. While we're doing this, I've got a Windows 10 virtual machine and I have a Windows Server virtual machine running in the background, taking up resources, etc. So I can actually save those off, which will mean the resources are not being consumed. And the other thing I've been monitoring is how my GPU level is from a heat perspective. So at 70 Celsius, my Surface Studio 2 is getting a little warm, but not too warm. So I can add a text layer here. And then what I can do with that text layer is type in the download location for the TikTok Live Studio, so people don't have to try to find that on their own. And then I can add that into my TikToks in both the portrait and the landscape view. And then the other nice thing about the TikTok Live Studio is I can add either in everything that I'm sharing, similar to what I'm doing on the team side, or I can share in just one particular window or application. So there we've got the display capture open, window capture is a choice, and the 4500 by 3000 is my Surface Studio display. So the other thing about the pixelation that you might be seeing is that I can avoid some of that if I actually lower my screen resolution. So on my real computer, I can come into the display and I'm at an extremely high display. If I drop it to 1920 by 780, or sorry, 1920 by 1080, and I still do a 200% font, we should be able to see things in the TikTok Live Studio, and they just would all be much bigger and hopefully easier to see here. And it looks like we may have dropped out the display captures, maybe because we either dropped them out or they became a different size, so it's not able to show the display captures. So I'm going to delete those both from here and add them back in to see if we can have them full screen again. So this time when we do display capture, it's likely to see the new display resolution to add as a source. There we go. Let's make sure we've got only one of those showing up. And there, hopefully you can see that a little better because I dropped the display resolution, so you should be able to see it easier. So with the TikTok Live Studio, if you have a really high resolution, you can see all these different things. On the far left, you have scenes. So if you're familiar with OBS, Open Broadcaster Software, which is free software that you can use on the PC or the Mac, you may be familiar with different scenes. So if I wanted to do a video and Edge display, and I have something in my Edge browser that I want to show you, like the Restream Studio, which is another option besides Teams, TikTok Live Studio, etc. I can go to my video and Edge. In the TikTok Live Studio, it plays a transition or a scene transition that you can set up. And then I can see my portrait and landscape showing the wrong video because I'm probably using the same video that Teams is using. If I go into the settings for the video, what I should be able to change there is the camera that is being used. So I can double click on this, minimize it, and instead of using the live cam that's in use, I can switch to the Logitech Brio, which isn't in use. And then you can see the edge of my 49-inch monitor and my little Clippy over here in that window. And then if I apply this, there comes my video onto the screen. And then we can see the student ambassadors link. If you're a full-time student in college or university, you can sign up for student ambassadors at Microsoft Learn Student Ambassadors and that program at studentambassadors.com. This spring is a perfect time to consider that. We can see that we're seeing underclocking on my Surface Studio 2. And I'm getting that warning in the TikTok Live Studio. So very similar look and feel to OBS. If you have some experience with OBS, you're probably going to be pretty happy and potentially familiar with the interface here. So landscape, camera, and video recorded, iOS, Android. I can share my phone within here. So if I'm trying to do a demo explaining how something on iOS works, I can do that. I can switch to Android. I had better results with Android being wireless and iOS being wired. And the benefit to that is with the wired connection, I'm also charging my phone at the same time that I'm sharing content from my phone, which I found really beneficial. So from the Restream perspective, we switch gears back to that. So on the TikTok Live Studio, the only thing I'm sharing is my Restream window. And the nice thing about Restream is that this lets me actually target multiple platforms at the same time. So right now I have 3 places that I have to manage interaction with my audience, right? I've got the TikTok Live Studio, which has my TikTok audience. I have 2 YouTubes that I'm going out on, Facebook and LinkedIn. And if people respond on any one of those different platforms, I have to manage being on LinkedIn, being in the Teams meeting, being over on my TikTok account, my 2 YouTube channels. The nice thing about Restream is it embeds the chat potentially in your stream. And then it allows me to embed that into, I've seen a couple places where I can actually put it into the stream in Restream. I don't believe StreamYard had that feature where it actually just takes the stream real time and it puts it in. With StreamYard, what I can do is I can take a particular message and I can make that message available within the stream. And it doesn't look like I can do so in any of the other platforms. If I wanted to head over to Facebook and see what things look like on Facebook, I could see if I can do a new tab here, type in facebook.com, see if I'm logged into Facebook. It doesn't look like I am. I need to type in all the characters I see. Looks like an ODC, SRQ. We'll see if that allows my two-step authentication to work. And then I'm going to get notified on my Windows computer as well as my phone, one of my phones. See which phone it's requesting me to verify with. Let's let it know it's me. And then I want to trust this device because I use it all the time. So now what I should be able to see if I go to my notifications, which should be up here somewhere if I make my font a little smaller. There we go. Is that I'm live on this account too. So we might have to go here and scroll down. So here's yet another place where I can comment or where I could make changes. Talk, live, studio, download, Windows 64-bit only. And then I could also see if I have any of my other addresses saved. Follow along. So just a lot of different places to have to go to manage, to respond to. And so if you have a number of people helping you with these live shows, it's much easier to kind of keep track of what's happening over on TikTok, who's joined, who's online, real time. The same thing with the other platforms. Now, since we're recording in several different platforms, if I go over to the Microsoft Teams platform, one of the things I can do in Teams, besides this being a live event on several different platforms, is I can record the meeting. And so it's being recorded as well as being streamed, and I get those messages. I get the recording and the streamed messages as a participant over on Teams. The benefit of using Teams to Restream is that Restream allows me to go to up to 8 different platforms. And then either in Teams, I can manage my presenters and my webinar and my registration and things in Teams, or I can manage all of those different social channels, chats, feedback, etc., in one place instead of all these multiple different places. So if I switch from the Teams application back over to my TikTok live studio view, I can see that we have one person live here, and I can go ahead and say hi by waving to that person. I can see that Michael has stopped by. And this interface gives me all of the information about what's happening over on TikTok. You can make the window full screen. What I've noticed about full screen versus not full screen is the application does not adhere to some of the other Microsoft Windows 10 and 11 capabilities like snapping to the left or the right of a screen. The 49-inch monitor that I have here that I can show you real quick on TikTok. Woo! Really, really an expansive view. It's like having 2 or 3 regular monitors at my disposal, right? So I've got the ability to run a lot of different applications, and with Windows 11, I can actually do snapping to either thirds of the screen or a larger center with 2 applications on the side. And with a 49-inch ultra-wide monitor, that's perfect. Like a wider middle application for, like, say, the TikTok Live Studio, and then 2 applications, maybe a browser and Microsoft Teams on the right and left would be perfect. And I have plenty of room to see everything that's going on, to deal with the different applications, to deal with the demands on my computer system, and do all that at once. Well, the downside to that 49-inch monitor and the TikTok Live Studio, at least, is it doesn't understand snapping. So it does understand running in a window and being moved monitor to monitor. So if I set up everything correctly, I can put TikTok Live Studio in the center and a couple windows on either side of it, and I'm good. But that's the extent of it. So we're in the Edge browser view here, and I need to go back to my view where I'm showing you the entire screen, which I believe was gameplay 1. And if it wasn't gameplay 1, it might have been my ultra wide in TikTok Studio. I don't remember which scene I was in. I was in the ultra wide in TikTok Studio, it looks like. And then I just need to double check that I'm sharing the display capture successfully. It looks like I am. And I believe I'm sharing it in both. Yep, okay. So you're able to see the TikTok Live Studio in both portrait and in the other view. And then what that should also mean is that you can see whatever's on my screen. So if I bring up the on-screen keyboard, for instance, because this is a Surface Studio 2, and it has a large 28-inch touchscreen, I can use my touchscreen as well as the other ways to interact with my monitor. So welcome, Dad. Thanks for joining me. My father has joined me when I'm on Facebook. I don't believe he's joined me. Well, he has joined me from Facebook knowing that I'm on TikTok. So I can see that he's in TikTok because his name and face shows up in the upper right. And then I just had somebody else join us. Big Bay, welcome. We're talking about the TikTok Live Studio. We're talking about Windows and setting up Windows for various uses. And I'm on a Windows 10 computer that's dual boot between Windows 10 and Windows 11. So if I go find my handy dandy file explorer, you'll notice that my computer has almost run out of drive letters because I carved it up into smaller chunks, primarily to just be able to move things around and not have my drive space just used up because the operating system see unlimited disk space. And so I have Windows 10 on one partition and I have Windows 11 on another partition. And then I have several drive letters with various sizes in between. The main reason for all the drive letters, if you ask me, is because you can only divide your hard drive into contiguous drive space. And so what I was realizing was when I want to maybe make adjustments, which you can do since I want to say Windows 7, maybe even before that, I can actually change the partition sizes like you can on other operating systems on the fly. The only way to do that is if the drive letters are right next to each other. So what I found was that I need to leave some disk space available to maybe make my C drive larger so I can actually extend the volume, but the extending is only available in the disk space that's right next to the disk space that I'm using. So I have up to 27 gig that I can add to the 134 that I'm already using. And then for the Windows 11 partition, which is about 90 gig, I can add up to another 8 gig to it. And then for more on the Windows 11 side, I would have to start deleting the different partitions here up to the 258 gig that I have reserved over here. So one of the issues that I had was, figuring out like, do I want to divide this equally? Do I want to give Windows 10 less than Windows 11? And my choice was, since Windows 11 is the future, I'd probably give Windows 11 the majority of the disk space that I can allocate. And I can do that by expanding to the right of the Windows 11 partition. The Windows 10 partition, I'm going to have to limit myself to about whatever that is, 27 plus 34. My dad's really good at math with this kind of stuff. So we're at about, I would think 160 or so, 160 something from a standpoint of the disk space that I can use for the Windows 10 partition. So that's a little bit about the computer that I'm using the TikTok Live Studio on. It's a Windows 10 and 11 Surface Studio 2. The Surface Studio 2 shipped with Windows 10. I decided, since it's capable of running Windows 11, but there are certain things about Windows 11 that I'm not completely sold on at this point. Within the computer's, I think it's updates, check for updates. I'll see under the Windows update that, hey, your computer is capable of running Windows 11, and, wouldn't it be great to check all the hardware requirements and upgrade to Windows 11, which means you can't use Windows 10 anymore. One thing that I learned as a Windows technical specialist working full-time at Microsoft is hundreds of ways, it seems like, to set up different operating systems to run either physically or virtually or in combination with each other. So one way to accomplish that we looked at earlier, but we're doing several different things today, is by running the Windows Hyper-V service. And so one of the ways that I could run Windows 11 in Windows 10 or Windows 10 in Windows 11 or even the server operating system is by using the Hyper-V services that are available in the server operating systems. It's available as a standalone operating system for free, and it's also available as a add-in to Windows 10, 11, Professional, or higher. It was even in Windows 8. I believe in Windows 7 they called it something else, Virtual PC or something. But whenever it started in the Windows Client operating system, it's been there at least for 3 versions. So with TikTok Live Studio, one of the things I can do is change these different scenes. I can share different things. King, welcome. Thanks for being here. Camille Sani is here as well. And from a TikTok Live Studio perspective, I can actually click on the faces, take a look at if I'm following somebody, get some information about your name versus your just your TikTok information. And then that allows me to make sure that I know if I'm following these people and just a little bit more about them and whether I've made them moderators or given them certain permissions to TikTok. So from a TikTok tools perspective, at the very top of the left, you'll notice that I have something called co-host. what co-host allows you to do is what I think they used to call battles, and now they are calling, they've got a new term for it. It's not battles anymore. It's some other term that doesn't sound as, I guess, violent as battles. And I think I took some screenshots of those friendly wagers that you can do on TikTok in a PowerPoint. So let's see if I can bring up the PowerPoint and jog my memory about what TikTok calls the battles now. See if it's under open. Live Studio hotkeys. Probably in this one. Yeah, I think it's this one. So here is what one of those looks like. So you can go side by side with another creator, and you can actually share the screen layout that I've been using in TikTok. So in this one, you can see that I had two video cameras, one over my shoulder. So my Logitech Brio was showing my Surface Studio in the lower middle portion. It was showing my TikTok Studio along with two other applications on my Ultra 49-inch ultra wide monitor. It was showing the output of that, and then it was showing an additional camera at the top in the portrait view. So it switches you to portrait view when you're in this competition with somebody else. And then the see if I didn't grab any other screenshots of it. But essentially, when you go into a co-host situation, you can find a co-host, and then you can decide whether you are sharing your just video. So my video would just opt to only sharing my Clippy and my face, not my computer screen, not PowerPoint, not anything else. But essentially, when you go into that view, one of the things that I can choose here, if I can get everything working, is I can invite the person that I want to battle with. I can either do just random battle with somebody. I can invite people that show up as friends that I've added, I guess. And then I have a whole list of suggested creators, which I think are sitting in this same screen. They either say invite, they show as not available, and they can show not available because they're live with guests. So once you get, I guess, a large enough audience, you can also do a multi-person co-host. And then the settings of the co-host is where I decide, do I want to just share my camera or do I want to share my screen with the display? So if you want to do something kind of simple where they just see the effect that you have, some of the these dual co-hosts that I've done, the other person may have an effect on their camera, so they look like a gingerbread man or they gingerbread person, I guess. Doesn't have to be a man, right? It could be a woman. They've got like gingerbread, what would you call it? I guess frosting or facial features. And so I guess that would maybe indicate what type of gingerbread person it is, whether they wear makeup or they have hair and how long the hair is, etc. Or I can share not only my video, but also what's on my screen. So what I've had to do is usually go in to the settings, tell it that I want to share my screen. Then I can control other types of settings for the co-host. I can type in my introduction. I think, no, this is just information about the co-host and how it works. And then the invite is where I actually invite other people. So I've done several where I just do kind of like the random send a request and somebody shows up. Some of those people have stuck around. Some of them have gotten really confused because they see themselves in the TikTok Live Studio alongside with me and my portrait view. So the only thing you share when you're in co-host is your portrait view. OPME and a few others had given me feedback that sometimes my screen gets a little pixelated. I believe the reason it gets pixelated is because of the screen resolution that I've chosen. And so the other thing I'm going to do here is make a quick recording so I can confirm whether the pixelation is included in my videos. So thanks for watching, everybody. This has been a video where I've shared a lot of tips and tricks in Windows 10, setting up my Windows 10 computer to dual boot between Windows 10 and Windows 11. We've also been looking at several features of the TikTok Live Studio while streaming live out to several different platforms with Microsoft Teams. So let's bring up yet one other application just to see what we can do to cause this computer to roll over and say, hey, I'm out of resources. I can't do everything you're asking me to do, Dan. Let's bring up Microsoft Whiteboard. So we have TikTok Live Studio running, Teams running. We have a couple browsers running. We're running Hyper-V. And I'm also opening on this Windows computer the Whiteboard application. And so you can see I have several whiteboards saved. And I have the capability of using Copilot in Whiteboard. And I have the ability to use my finger because my Surface stylus on this computer is out of battery. So if I have TikTok over on one side here, I can use TikTok to go to TikTok, the live studio, right? It's like a one-to-one relationship, and I can either use my phone, I can use the live studio app, but that's essentially what I'm doing. What I'm also doing at the same time is using Restream. And Restream is designed to go to multi-platforms up to 8 at a time. So the nice thing about that is I'm not limited to the one connection. One thing that I like about this setup is that I can use Microsoft Teams with a new feature in Restream to send my Teams meeting to Restream, and then I can have Restream send the stream to things like Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, etc. So I can send it to multiple platforms, and I could actually send that to TikTok once I reach 1,000 followers. So imagine the power of being able to use Microsoft Teams, which doesn't have the limits of the co-hosting and the creation, I guess, limitations that TikTok has today. And then being able to use that on multiple platforms instead of, well, if you don't meet me over here, you're missing out on this, or you don't get this type of benefit. But I do need to reach 1,000 people that are following me on TikTok to do so with TikTok. So for right now, TikTok has been an easier place to set up a community, and it's been an easier place to actually interact. And so I'm going to move my window for the live studio up to my other platform because I can't see the chat completely in the smaller resolution that I've set up. So I'm going to see if I can make my window full screen here so I can see all the questions. And it looks like we've got a question from the audience. And so I'm going to go ahead and see if we can show the ability for me to bring somebody up to the screen because I'm recording right now, and then it should be part of the recording that I can post and show how that works. So what I can do if it's set up that way is I believe I can send an invite to somebody that's been added as a moderator. So you can add moderator functions to a person. That's on TikTok. This is where I decide, this is a trusted account. It's somebody that I've, met or collaborated with before. And then I'm not sure if I can just go into co-host. This is the teams that I've set up over to Restream. And then I can see if I have the other account listed here. If I can't bring you up to the stage, what I might need to do is just have you type in your question or join us over on the Teams meeting, which is a possibility as well. I don't see you here. I'm still learning a lot of the TikTok Studio services here. So let's see here. What's the other thing I can do here? Let's see if I can make this full screen and get it functional. Seems like the live chat window, I either need to pop out or something based on the screen resolution. I dropped my screen resolution to see if it's less pixelated. So let's see if I can get to an extended chat separately. Loading window, allow auto pop-up after going live. That might help me if this was popped out. Some of these things you can click on and they show you different, windows, and you might be able to turn them off or on and set up different appeals and capabilities. There's all sorts of stuff you can do in the TikTok Live Studio. So there, I've just saved a video, and the video has been saved in both horizontal and vertical. So I can actually compare how pixelated or not pixelated my screen is in that interaction. So I can see if, the whiteboard showed up okay, or if the whiteboard looked a little pixelated in the portrait versus the landscape. The landscape has better resolution. It's obviously wider, so the screen may be less pixelated in that window. So if you have a question, it looks like, based on the way I've got things set up, that I might have to have you type that in. I do not have the multi-guest capability just yet on here. So it showed up on one day, and I think that might have been from co-hosting. And that might have been a co-host that had the multi-guest capability, and it just lit it up for me, but it's gone away again. So I think I have to grow to 1,000 followers, and then I should be able to do the multi-guest where I bring people to this stage. I think that's the issue. So the other thing that I can do here and show you real quick is how we actually get into one of these settings. So I go to the co-host invite, I go to settings, I make sure that I'm sharing my camera and screen display capture, and then I invite somebody either randomly or that is listed below. I'm trying to see if there's any names that I recognize. H has been in a environment with me. I think just watching my live before. So I recognize her profile. You can see out of control and all sorts of people. And then the invites mean, again, that the person is, I believe, sitting in the same screen. And then the join shows me people that probably have over 1,000 followers. So I can see single woman with 3 kids. I don't need all that. So I'm not sure what that profile is going to be sharing on LinkedIn, right? But the random quick invites are just random. I could get somebody from another country. I could get somebody that's, main purpose on TikTok is different than my main purpose, which is teaching people things. It's just completely random. And so it goes out and it sends these invites to people. And I think if they're on their phone, they get a little, do you want to join the co-host? Then the live studio needs to switch to a mode where I see the other person, hey. And then what I can see in the lower right is what I was talking about. And that is the ability to actually match with the person, the live match options. And so let's go into a live match here and see if we can configure this. So that person decided to drop because I'm talking to myself and I never accepted the match. So the matches are where you actually, I guess, they used to be called battles. You spend 5 minutes with a person and then your people on TikTok can tap on your side of the screen. You get 3 points for that. They can send you GIFs. So TikTok has this whole algorithm of engagement where people can provide you these GIFs, and the GIFs are monetary, and those help you with your score within the live match. So in the lower left is where I can challenge the creator that's come in. I can see somebody has a birthday, happy birthday. And then if I move this up here, would you like to do a live match? Cool. Do you mind if I record this? Cool. Okay, so the live match starts by setting up the live match in the lower left-hand corner. So I can get started, and then for 5 minutes, we have the ability to battle. It's your birthday, so obviously I hope you win this one because it is your birthday. I'm sitting here with Clippy. Tomorrow's your birthday. Okay. So you're getting set for tomorrow. Excellent. Here on TikTok or in person or both? Okay, nice. So if you notice on the screen, you can tap on the screen, and tapping on the screen or giving gifts, I guess, decides which side is in the match getting more interaction. And then by giving gifts, that lets the creator know that, it's either very even. Many of these that I've done, Cassandra, the battle is, or the match, whatever, I don't know if they used to call it battle. I've heard a lot of people saying, do you want a battle? And then it shows up as live match. But in the 5 minutes, you just go back and forth, right? Is the whole idea of this? Okay. I'm fairly new to TikTok, so I'm still learning TikTok Live Studio. Have you used Live Studio at all? Okay. So one of the things you can do with the Live Studio, which is pretty cool, and I'm going to see if I can bring it up here, is you can actually share your screen, your Windows or your computer screen. So if I go back into co-host, which I'm waiting to have open, the Live Studio is a little laggy. So you click on something and then you wait maybe, I don't know, 20, 30 seconds for it to open. And then what I can do is I can go to the settings for the co-host. And I can tell it, instead of just showing my camera view, I can change it to current scene. And what current scene can do if I save it is every time I go into a live match with another creator, instead of just showing my video, it should now show you my main screen, and then I can drag down the Live Studio so that you can see it and you'll see yourself as well, which is kind of confusing or meta, that you're seeing yourself on TikTok and then you're seeing me at the top and you're seeing my screen at the bottom. And so the Live Studio lets you see the match, the progress, who's in with you. Exotic Snack Club from the Chicago suburbs is here. Thanks for coming by. Exotic Snack Club, or Mo, is the first person that kind of taught me what a live looked like and a live match looked like, and how the little GIFs and the tapping on the screen worked. So if you tap on Cassandra's side, it's her birthday tomorrow, and she's planning a birthday celebration. We've got 1 minute and 41 seconds, 39 seconds left in this match. And then you get like 2 minutes or 3 minutes, I think it is, for a victory lap where I guess either person can ask to go back into a live match. There we go. You are ahead now. And so this can, I'm assuming that kind of score can either be based on a huge fan base or a gift that you got. Is that correct? Okay. I don't either. And so then the other thing, Cassandra, that you can do in here is I can click on you to see how many followers you have. You have a much bigger fan base than I have. I'm got it. Okay. Yeah. Are you going live today just to see if you can get people to attend tomorrow? Cool. Nice. Cool. I will give you a follow here. I have to move it to my other monitor. I dropped my computer resolution so that hopefully this isn't too blurry when I show you what the TikTok Live Studio looks like. And then I'm also live on LinkedIn and Facebook and YouTube at the same time. So I'm using Teams to put the meeting out to those different platforms. Yeah. I'm a computer technical trainer by my day job is computer technical training. So I've done some stuff with this. So there's the winning victory lap, happens for 3 minutes. And this is where in the lower left, if I could see the whole lower left, I would have the ability to rematch. Cassandra can do that as well. Actually, I lost, you won. And, within the 5 minutes, you can have this battle back and forth or this match back and forth on who taps on the screen the most, who gives you gifts. And then at the end of the 5 minutes, somebody is the victor and somebody is the loser. And you can either redo it or you can move on and do it with somebody else, correct? Do you know how the multi-guest works in TikTok? Okay. Exactly. That's exactly what I'm doing, Cassandra. It's like anything else, right? You don't learn it if you just don't use it. Yes. Yes, I would agree. And this live studio thing is if you've ever used OBS, which is free for your computer, it's called Open Broadcaster software, and it lets you go live on like LinkedIn or Facebook or YouTube. TikTok is included. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I think you have to run OBS Studio on a Windows or a Mac computer. I don't think it's available for mobile or tablets yet. But OBS Studio, if you think about what you're seeing on the screen in the TikTok Live Studio, is very, very similar. You can have different scenes. So when I'm not in a victory lap or a match with somebody, I can actually set up different scenes. So I can have my screen at the top and my video at the bottom, or I can have 2 video cameras on showing something. I can do 2 screen shares. So I could have a PowerPoint up and the PowerPoint could actually show something. So I was just showing earlier that one of the windows I have on my computer shows the last time I had a match with a individual. And there I have 2 of my screens in the middle. And then I have the 2 cameras, one at the top and one at the bottom. So you can see kind of over my shoulder at my 2 monitors and my face in the other. I know that side of it. I'm still learning the TikTok side of it, right? So I know PowerPoint really well. Oh yeah. It's never ending. Yeah. Yeah. Where are you based? Nice. I'm in Illinois. I'm in the Chicago suburbs. What part of Kansas? Okay. I live in Lansing, Illinois, which is on the border to Indiana. So I'm on the far eastern side of Illinois. So I want to say Kansas would be still going to Iowa first and then heading down to Kansas. My son lived in Kansas City for a while. And yeah, I want to say that was from Chicago area, that was like a 7 to 8 hour drive. Yeah, so my friend Exotic Snack Club, Mo, is in the house. Let's see what he's saying. Lost a good friend. Oh no. I saw the crash in Dallas, but I had to read back. Sorry to hear that. Yeah, the live is really confusing. That's why I'm recording this one, Mo, is just to hopefully try to describe what I'm seeing and what others are seeing. Now, the other thing that I've ran into, and I'm going to try it again and see if it behaves better today, is when I've been trying to take screenshots of the actual what I'm seeing to post on things like LinkedIn and share what I've learned so far and what's working and what's not working so well. Um, the screenshots got all jumbled up with the live studio going only to the center, and I'm losing all of the artifacts to the left and the right. So I looked up hotkeys in live studio to see if is it something I'm hitting that I think is a Windows hotkey that TikTok Live Studio is changing its format or its setup in, and it's inconsistent. Like sometimes it goes into this mode where I can't see the live to stop it. I can't stop the recording, and the application kind of freezes. And then other times like this, it's allowed me to actually capture the screen so I can show the live match and I can show how the scenes work and how inviting a co-host works and how the comments work and the people that are in the live, etc. So Cassandra, that's a little bit about what I've been doing on TikTok lately, is trying to document how it works for other creators like you. Nice. Okay, got it. Thank you. Yeah, that's the kind of thing I'm looking at this point, is just trying to figure out how to get better at it and how to get to that. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. I've been on it for like a year, 2, 3 years. I posted a couple videos, but I haven't done much with it. And same thing with YouTube. Do you have a YouTube channel? Okay. I have a couple YouTube channels, but it's the same kind of thing. It's like I don't spend time there, so I haven't learned how it works. I don't have enough subscribers, so it feels like kind of wasted time. Unless like right now with Restream. So this is going out to 2 YouTube channels as well as to Teams where it's being recorded. And then it's also going to LinkedIn, my LinkedIn profile. Once I get to 1,000 followers, Got it. Cool. Okay. No. A bot battle is where maybe somebody else. Okay. Okay. Oh, got it. Okay. Got it. Oh, okay. Yeah, so this is what I'm sharing now is the screen from LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is sharing the same content that you're seeing here in TikTok, but it's this is like I don't know, like a 45 minutes ago. It's like trying to catch up because it must have paused the video when I minimized the screen. But the way I'm doing that is I'm using Restream, which is in a browser somewhere here. And Restream is sending this to several social media platforms. And I can configure this for TikTok, but I need the 1,000 followers to configure this for TikTok. And then the nice thing about that is I could use Teams for the meeting portion, and I could go to TikTok and all these other platforms simultaneously. Okay. Yeah. I did get I will check it out for certain. Yeah, like so I don't know if I can do that in the live studio, but I have two TikTok accounts and I can either if I'm live here, I could attend in the other account or I could I think reverse it, like go live in the other account. Because I have access to TikTok Live Studio and two accounts because I wanted to play around with it. Yeah, yeah, exactly. I don't even know how to categorize it, but I've seen certain people that, yeah, exactly. Yeah. When I think I've been in a couple bot battles where somebody has like it's like a green screen, and then you can see that there's somebody maybe behind it, but it's likely, you're not talking to somebody one on one. Um, right. That's okay. Okay. So you mute your mic so that they're not hearing background noise and stuff. Got it. Okay. Yeah. Cool. Nice. Yeah, I'll definitely come to your birthday. It's been nice chatting and learning from you. Cool. Yeah, send me an invite. Yeah, you too. Yeah, you too. And then to leave, either Cassandra can leave or I can leave from the co-host option. So basically, when you get to the end and you want to return to doing essentially your own thing, your own, live or your own event, you come down to, see if I can make this full screen again. You come back down to co-host. And once the co-host screen decides to open, in the invite panel, in the lower left is end co-host. So this is large enough that it's not all fitting on my screen. So I'm just dragging it up to my second monitor so I can show you the bottom left. And that's where you end the co-host. So you go into the settings the first time. It doesn't seem to respect the fact that I've asked it to do the scene, the shared scene, when I go into battles, but then it seems like if you save this and tell it that you want it to be the default, then the next time that you battle, or I keep on forgetting the term. It's not battle, it's what is it? Match. When you match with somebody, it decides whether it's using a camera or the scene that you're using. And then you can't change your scene while you're in the co-hosting, but you can end the co-hosting. You can match when you're in the co-hosting. Multi-guest just allows you to have multiple people. And then the other thing that you can do with the live studio is different scenes. So right now, because I'm not co-hosting with somebody, or in a multi environment, I can actually switch my scenes, and the scenes decide whether they open the browser and share the browser, and then whether you can see different elements on my screen like the displays. And I can turn those layers on or off if they're there. And if they're there, they show up in the little boxes, and I can resize the boxes and move them around the screen. And then you can basically save these scenes and switch between them. So I could have like my video on, my video off, and if I click into my camera, what's probably happening is it's using the wrong camera that's in the Teams app is if I have my microphone turned on in one place and then in another place. Sometimes it'll work, sometimes it'll work with the same microphone. Other times it won't work in both places, and then you'll end up with, either no sound or double echoing sound. And so the easiest way to fix that is to make sure that you're unmuted in both places. So I may or may not have been muted in the Teams meeting and thus in LinkedIn and elsewhere. But I'm also, like I said, recording this so I can find out if I was muted in those platforms, because I'm recording this as well as live streaming it. And then I was recording portions of it in the TikTok Live Studio. And really the benefit of being able to do all this stuff live is to be able to learn from it and to do it multiple times, right? It's not to just do it once and call it, done, or, I've been there, done that kind of thing. It's to potentially do it multiple times and have people benefit from learning from it and how to do these things. So some of this information I'm going to be providing for free just to anybody that has interest in learning about it. Like right now I'm on LinkedIn, TikTok, 2 YouTube channels. I'm not on X because I don't have my premium subscription anymore. I need to reactivate that to go live on X. Then I can go live on X as well. Facebook, I'm on my Facebook account. And then on TikTok, that's where I'm really trying to focus immediately. YouTube is right behind that. YouTube seems like another place that would be really good for learning and building a community. And then the nice thing about building the community in multiple places is they can all grow, right? I don't have to be only a star on TikTok or a star on YouTube or a star on LinkedIn or a star on X. But theoretically, one of those platforms is going to be your number one. Your community is strongest in maybe one place. And then you might have like a secondary that's, just as strong, or if you become a celebrity on these platforms, you might actually become popular in all of these different places because people find you wherever they find you, and then they start following you elsewhere. We'll see what happens, but LinkedIn is definitely number one for me right now. X is number 2 for me, and TikTok is easily becoming a number 3 very, very quickly, like within a week. So I'm super happy about that. We've got 3 people in the live on the TikTok side. And then if I go over to LinkedIn and the window that I have open there, we can see that I've got live for several minutes. I think I have to normally refresh the screen, which I don't have a refresh item in the app. I do, it's up here, refresh. So what I can do on the LinkedIn side is refresh to get kind of caught up to the video live. And then catching up to the video, which is at 1 hour and 23 minutes, I can see that I've got the window open, and I can see if there's been any. So if I go to Live Studio and I complete the puzzle piece, that's their avoiding bots capability. So I can say, thanks to Joseph, learning lots and sharing as I go. So you can see on each of these platforms, part of the challenge is going to be maintaining or keeping track of all these different platforms: TikTok, LinkedIn, YouTube, X, etc. The nice thing about doing this, thanks. Cool. Okay. Dad, thanks for the info. Sounds like he did the live from his desktop computer. He has a desktop, a phone, a laptop, I think. I've lost count on how many devices my dad has. that may or may not be part of my doing, giving him all those different devices that he can consume from. And I would imagine it's probably about the time that he goes to lunch. So it's possible that that's what is going on here. So I can see the various channels that I am broadcasting to, and this is where I can configure TikTok as soon as I have enough followers, or if I apply and they grant me access. This is where I can configure X Premium, and I need a premium account to stream. This is where I can go to connect back to Instagram, which it looks like I don't have connected. And you can see that Joseph and several others are using my account. Restream has the concept of a team, so you can have multiple people use the account. And then there's different levels, and I can see that my RTMP is 1280 by 720. So I think that is my native resolution on Restream. So the other thing that probably means is that I need to think about dropping my display to that resolution. And that should help me from a standpoint of the resolution. So if I come down here and I drop to 1280 by 720, I think it said, and I keep the changes, and then I tell it maybe 120%, which will make things smaller, but not as teeny tiny. What I should be able to do now in the TikTok Live Studio is make sure that you can still see my screen, and my screen might get a little less pixelated. So let's do a final recording here and see how my screen looks. Looks like I need to make it a little smaller here to fit on the portrait mode screen. It's the other challenge about making everything too small is it's hard to see what you're doing. You've made everything too small. Okay, so I just got an invite to Great, how are you? Hey, yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me? I think it's on your end, but it might be on my end. Cool. Can you hear me? Yeah, I can hear you just fine. Yeah, I can see you now too. Sure. Yeah, sure. Mm-hmm. Congrats. Mm-hmm. Right. So I'm using both Restream and Live Studio, TikTok Live Studio. So very carefully, I have TikTok Live Studio running on a Surface Studio, and then I have Teams running to send the Teams meeting over to Restream. And Restream can handle everything once I get my TikTok up to 1,000 followers. It looks like it can just do everything with Restream. Okay. Hmm. Okay. No, not at all. Okay. Right. Yeah, it's probably locked in some other app or something. Oh, okay. Right. Yeah, so on TikTok, I believe what you have to have is 1,000 followers, and then I don't know. That's what I'm getting right now when I go in there on TikTok. Okay. So there was for me, I think in that same screen, there was for Restream. Let me bring up my Restream. You should be able to see it on your screen. Um, I think there was an apply button there too. Yeah, that's what I'm getting too. Access not approved or revoked is my thank you. Unfortunately, we're unable to approve your application or your access is revoked. So if I apply again, because it's not going to hurt to apply again, um, I'll decide whether, or they'll decide whether they give me access to do this from Restream. If they gave me access from Restream to do everything, the benefit is I can just use Restream, and I can either use Restream directly or I can use Restream with Teams now. And so Teams would unlock the capability of my audiences growing beyond, like 10 or, 8 people, whatever the limits are. But yeah, it's figuring all that stuff out. There's benefits to being in Teams. There are benefits in being in Restream. Yeah. You're just switching the camera. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, nice. Three monitors? Four. Wow. That's awesome. Right. Hmm. Yeah. That's what I had to do too. Yeah. Yeah. So I have a Logitech Brio and a built-in webcam. And I'm doing the same thing. I'm doing one in Teams and then one in, yeah, exactly. Exactly the same setup. No, no. When I only use TikTok Live Studio, I can actually put both cameras in. So I did that and I took a screenshot of it with both cameras and both my screens. I don't know how many screens you can have at the same time. Oops. Yeah, I do. I've found that I'm maxing it out. Let's see if I can share this so you can see it. Yeah, right. Yeah, I'm not sure if that's, so the load balancer is working, the public IP is working, but then the VMs aren't. Right. Got it. Okay. There's a there's a service in Azure that does that for you, but there's an overhead in the cost, and I'm trying to recall what the name of it is. Um, Let me see if I can search for it real quick. Might even have like the name load balancer or something in it. Um, it's basically like a jump box that you can configure so that you don't have to have public IPs on the Azure VMs, but you can still use it the same way you would. I think I'm running out of resources because my computer is getting really laggy. Yes, yeah, Bastion. Right, right.